I'm Liesl, Pretorius, Head of Legal with Freedom of Religion South Africa, or 4SA for short. Now, apart from the general elections this year, 2024, there will be elections for school governing bodies of every public school in South Africa. The school governing body elections take place every 3 years, and this year they take place across the nation in March. School governing bodies play a crucial role in setting the culture and context of each school. And here to talk to me about the SGB elections, as well as to let us know how parents can be involved and why they should be involved, is Michael Swain, 4SA's Executive Director. Welcome, Michael. And to start us off with, tell us, why is it important for parents to be involved in the school governing bodies of the schools attended by their children?
Well, Lisa, it's quite interesting that, of course, this is election year and we think general elections, but actually a very critical, I think for many people, probably maybe the most critical election is going to be the election of the school governing body. That is, of course, if you have a child in school, because this is your opportunity to get involved at the grassroots level. And many parents today don't really have a correct understanding of the role of parents in the education system. They tend to believe that there's the state with all the power and all the authority. They forget, of course, that there's been a huge change since 1994, and it is the parents, not the state, who have the primary right and responsibility to educate their own children. And of course, that's particularly in the early years of childhood. The role of the state, of course, is to provide the mechanisms for the education of learners. They use our taxpayers' money, by the way, to provide school facilities, to pay salaries of teachers. They set the topics that will be taught in the schools. Obviously, they have the CAPS curriculum that they outroll. And of course, they can also decide what is the level at each grade that they expect learners to have achieved for those topics. But however, parents do not simply just hand over their children at the school gate and hope for the best. The legal framework for the education system of South Africa gives parents very broad powers to ensure that they continue to retain the proper influence over their children, particularly, of course, if you're a parent of faith. You want to be sure that nobody will interfere with or undermine the beliefs and values that you want to teach your child. And if your child attends a public school, it's very important, of course, that those values are upheld in the school. And the best, perhaps the most effective way of doing this is by voting for a suitable candidate, or maybe better still, standing as a candidate yourself to be a member of the SGB of your local school. Let me ask you a question, Liesl. We say it's important, but maybe you can unpack some of the reasons why it is so important and what powers and prerogatives do school governing bodies have in the life of the local school.
So the powers and prerogatives of school governing bodies are set out in the South African Schools Act. And the South African Schools Act requires every public school in South Africa, firstly, to have a school governing body, which is responsible for the governance of that school. The role of the SGB is to protect and promote the best interests of the school community, and they have significant powers to be able to do so. So in particular, this role is to ensure that learners receive the kind and quality of education that meets the expectation of their parents. So what are SGBs? Essentially, they are watchmen and they are gatekeepers of public schools, and they have the authority in the following areas. Firstly, they guide the school culture and climate by deciding its vision, its mission, its ethos and values. This includes writing policies to allow, for example, for religious observances to take place in the school. They also approve teaching materials and policies on topics such as admission, language, religion, and also the school code of conduct. This prevents ideological content that is at odds with parents' views and values from being pushed into the school attended to by their child. School governing bodies also appoint.
Just on that, Liesl, I think that last point that you made about the, if you like, the gatekeeper of the content, very importantly, school governing bodies are able to choose, for instance, what material is used to teach on, say, life skills and life orientation. But that was very controversial in 2019 when the state had developed a very liberal view of sex and sexuality. And the sense was for parents, well, this is just going to be forced upon us and forced upon our children. And the answer is no, because the school governing body has the power and the prerogative to choose that very important content for sensitive subjects, particularly like life skills and life orientation. So apologies for interrupting.
No, Michael, no apologies necessary. Very important role that of the school governing body to choose the learning materials. And we saw it play out with the controversial comprehensive sexuality education materials that that was envisioned to be rolled out and is being rolled out in some schools. Another important power of the school governing body is relates to the appointment and promotion of teachers. And when the school governing body has a say in this can also prevent teachers who are perhaps ideological activists from pushing views and values onto children, again, with views and values that are at with the parents of that school. And finally, or not finally, but in our short summary of most important powers, school governing bodies also help determine how school facilities are used. So, for example, this includes renting out a school premises to be used by religious organizations. Many religious organizations meet together in a school hall, for example. Now, the active participation of parents in the governance of their child's school is therefore crucial. And the school governing body elections taking place in March 2024 will set the culture and climate of the education of children for the next 3 years. So quite a generation of learners. So, Michael, I think we've made the point very clear that involvement in school governing bodies is so important. But then the next question naturally is, how do parents then become involved in these school governing bodies? What can they do to participate?
Well, the good news there for parents is it's actually pretty easy to do that. And the school itself will provide you with all the necessary information. But just a couple of tips, perhaps, on a basic level. Make sure that your name is on the school voter roll. Every school has a voter roll. And if you're not on the voter roll, well, number one, you can't stand as a member of the school governing body. And secondly, you can't vote for somebody else who is. So very importantly to make sure that you're on it. And if you're not, then contact the school without delay and make sure that that is amended. Of course, the other thing that you want to know is what is the nomination process? What is the election process for school governing bodies? And particularly, if you want to stand as a member of a school governing body, you're going to need a nomination form, and you're going to need to know exactly how that process is going to work. So the school, again, will provide you with all that. And once, of course, you submitted your nomination form, you'll need to be prepared and ready to give a motivation as to why you believe you will make a valuable contribution to the school governing body in your school. And of course, even if you're not standing as a candidate, then very importantly, when the opportunity comes to vote, if it's not you, vote for somebody else, another parent who's willing to stand for the same type of values that you would subscribe to. Very important. Don't just leave your child's education in the hands of others. You know, if we don't participate in these school governing bodies elections, we are literally turning our back on the best way to protect the best interests of the school community and your children, and of course to help ensure that learners do receive an education that meets the expectation of parents. So this is coming up, March, as we say, but just end off, Liesl, by telling us where we can find out more information on these elections and how do parents know how to get involved, so if they need a refresher on this video.
So if parents want to learn more about the upcoming SGB elections taking place during March this year, we have set up a simple page on our website. Our website address is rsa.org.za. And on that webpage, you can get a brief video and 2 short summary documents, just setting out more information on the process and what you need, etc. And one of the documents, for example, will inform you on how the nomination and election process takes place. The other sets out important reasons why standing as a member or voting for a suitable candidate is the most it's so important. But the most important is obviously being a positive influence in the setting of the culture of the school that your child attends for the next 3 years. So involvement, but all that information you will get on our webpage. There's a big banner image at the top of our webpage, and you just click through. But again, that address is www.4sa.org.za, and then you will have all the information. And also, if you want to get updates as they develop, you can follow us on Facebook. We also have a YouTube channel with more information on this topic and other important topics.
Brilliant. Thank you, Liesl. And again, big encouragement to parents, don't miss this opportunity. It's literally once every 3 years. All the best. This is Michael Swain of 4SA.
Remember to like and share this video and then click on the subscribe button to make sure that you never miss our video updates on vital religious freedom issues.